Hello, this is the Monetary Therapy Show, Tuesday, July 28th. I think my last video I said Tuesday, July 27th. I should get the date right at least. Anyway, I'm Mike on the mic. This is the show we help you make more, keep more, and stress less about money because money isn't just about dollars, it's about decisions. So let's laugh a little, learn a little, and build a better financial future together. Let's get into it. True story. My financial advisor told me to diversify. So now I'm losing money in multiple investments instead of just one. That's what I call personal growth. Winning, winning. All right, what we're going to do, we go to the email bag and we're going to try and help some people out. That's the goal of the show. We've got John and Melissa from Kissimmee. John's 39, car salesman, making $82,000 a year. His income is commission based, so some months are fantastic, some are stressful, just like real estate. His wife, Melissa, 37, an elementary school teacher, making 58 grand. They have two kids, 9 and 10. Household income's 140K. Mortgage, 2,200 a month. Two car payments totaling 1,050. That's a lot. 18,000 in credit card debt. That hopefully will get to zero. About 35,000 in a 401K. I'd want to know the details. Is that traditional or Roth? What other retirement they have? What other investments and things like that? At those ages, that's not that much in retirement. 12,000 in savings. They spend everything they make and don't know where it goes. Isn't that funny? Well, it happens. Actually, it's not that funny. What they're trying to accomplish: eliminate credit card debt, save for the kids' college, take one nice vacation each year without using credit cards, retire comfortably by age 60. Okay, what I would say, John, is you don't have an income problem, you have a systems problem. You know, every commission check feels like a bonus because there isn't a plan. Let's automate your savings, create a commission reserve account for the slow months, attack the debt, and start investing consistently. You're not trying to get rich next month. We're trying to make your money stop controlling your emotions. You know, one way that people can increase income is by decreasing bills, so they should shop their bills. Also, you can kind of gamify spending. You know, so who spent less this week? Something that people used to do in college. You know, avoid things like Starbucks, going out too much. If you want to get ahead, that's what you need to focus on. You know, what you spend your money on is what's important to you. So if you're investing for your future, your kids and your future are what's most important to you. All right, let's look at this info again. There's a couple of staples. First of all, you have two children and you have a marriage. The most important thing is that you guys are healthy mentally, physically, financially, and familially. Is that a word? That you're taking care of your kids, that you pay attention to them and each other, that you help them with their homework, take them to school, play catch. You are not going to get that time back. Okay? Basically, what I just said in that word salad is you don't want to be working extra hours and extra jobs. You need to spend time with your partner and you need to spend time with your kids. That's the most important thing. I think it's 57% of first marriages fail. It's a lack of connection. People don't spend time with each other. They fight over money. So let's solve some of your problems. A couple things you want to look into. Do you have extra rooms in your house that you could rent out? You know, there are no low cost housing, very little. It's difficult. You live in the greater Orlando area. There's plenty of folks who need a place to stay. Now you wouldn't want to necessarily have a stranger where you have kids. Do you have a separate entrance? Can you build a separate entrance? Do you have a mother-in-law suite? Can you build a kitchenette? And what we do is I'll write all this stuff down and email it back to the person, you know, because they may or may not be listening. You want to try and increase your income. So lower your bills and see if you can do something like that, where you have a room for rent, 2 rooms for rent, 5 rooms for rent. There's a barn in the back. Can you make it an Airbnb? Can you make it something like that where somebody can stay? Do you have vehicles that you can rent out? Do you have items that you can sell that you don't need? You can, you know, reduce taxes by donating things. Each situation is going to be a little bit different. If your wife is a teacher, can she work in the summer? Although we just talked about that, spending time with the kids. So you want to watch that. If there's any extras at your job, coming in early, staying a little late, again, the family is more important than anything. And, eventually what you need to do, you kind of need to sit down with folks like this and figure things out. You could borrow against your 401k, your credit card debt. You got to stop using the cards. Be careful with debit cards, but you got to stop using them and kind of gamify it again. See if you can just pay a certain amount off, at least have them not go up. Those cars, that's a lot of money in car payments. What people should have is priorities. And I get it. I've made every mistake in the book and I've done this. You don't need a new car. You need transportation. So your car should be a beater. You've got a family, okay? Your car should get you from A to B. If the paint's peeling off it, great. If there's a tear in the seat, wonderful. It's all good. In order to live an extraordinary life, you can't do ordinary things. You cannot upgrade your car every couple of years. You get something that is very, low maintenance, low cost, maybe something old, stick shift, which is not high in demand. You got to get out of credit card debt and get out of it quick. I would put a portion of that savings towards it. Let's see. The kids are too young to contribute, so that's not going to work. But having a plan, it's so important to have a plan, have some fun with it, see if you can figure it out. You can, what else can you do? When you do a show like this, the first email and the first caller, it's not going to be the greatest response. So I like Shane Gillis. I do stand-up comedy. He kind of talks like I just did. He talks about what's going on in the room when you're bombing. You're like, I don't know what else to tell these people. What you want to do is sit down with them and see if you can generate more income. Do they own the home together? So if one does not own the home, do they have the first-time home buyer credit so they can go out and buy some more income, buy a rental property, investment property, something co-living, maybe partner up with someone else to get into that? Do they have designs on other businesses, other ideas, other ways to generate income or reduce bills? Can you refinance your mortgage? Have the rates dropped? Can you extend the amount of years if that makes financial sense? There's a lot of things you can do to lower your monthly bills, your monthly nut, and increase your income and get ahead. And then have a plan for the future. You get out of debt. You can have the Acorns app for automatic savings. It's wonderful. I use it. You can have online savings. I use Betterment. If my savings account is right next to my checking account at Chase, I'm going to use it. I'm going to spend it. I'm going to move it. So I've automated it, which keeps it out of my hands. And it's in some other account. I forget about it. And then when I go check it, there's several $1,000s in there. So that's something I would definitely do. And then you can send me your responses at info@monetarytherapy.com, and I can go over your answers to these questions that I've sent you and help you out. The idea is you want to think outside the box. It's not impossible, but you can't live like no one else unless you live like no one else. All right? So reducing all your bills, increasing your income. It sounds so simple. Well, then do it. Did rates go down? Call your mortgage broker. See if you can make $2,200, get it down to $1,950. That's $250 a month. That's, I don't know, $2,600, $2,700 a year. I got to get a calculator over here. All right. But I'll send you those answers, and then you can send me any more questions that you have. Thank you so much for calling in. What were you doing? Emailing into the Monetary Therapy Show with Mike on the mic, Mike Stiskin, MS. I have a Master of Science degree in criminal justice. True story. So I was doing nothing with my life. I was a professional tennis instructor, internationally and nationally certified. I was a decent player, not great. I'm not 6'5". I didn't start when I was 3 years old. I don't have that maniac competitive aspect for sports. Long story longer. Where was I going with that? Oh, I was doing nothing with my life. My dad said, hey, you should go to the military or grad school or law school, because I always talked about law. So I looked into military. I talked to some guy. I think I was 26. And then, law school. I don't know. My buddy was going to UCF, University of Central Florida, to get his master's in criminal justice. So I just followed him. It's a learning experience. I got the degree. I always say, I got the degree. I never used it, but I'm a contractor, so I knew how to hang it up on my wall. And it's pretty interesting. At least it's in English. My Rollins college international relations degree is in like Latin. Who speaks Latin? Does anybody speak Latin? Raise your hand. I do not. I'll put my hand down. Anyway, good times. So that was my story. Well, I have a master's degree. I have the MS after I should get a PhD so I can be like a handyman with a PhD. It's like a doctor who fixes toilets. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? I think so. So let's try and help somebody else out here. And please email me any questions, info@monetarytherapy.com. You can check out our website, www.monetarytherapy.com. Man, when I was in college, there was no internet. Right in the early 90s, 93, we started getting internet and messaging. I remember being over people's houses, and they're like, no way. I got an email or something. That was crazy. We got Sarah and David from Winter Garden. Sarah's 45, registered nurse, makes $96K a year. Her husband, David, 47, owns a small landscaping business and averages about $75,000 a year. But the income fluctuates. They have one daughter who's 16 and thinking about college. College is interesting. I went to college and drank and partied and chased girls for 4 years. But I didn't know any better. I was 17. I probably shouldn't have been there. It didn't really mature me, but it was a wonderful experience. I love Rollins College. I like going to the alumni events. I don't think the college did anything for me educationally. Not that I tried, but not that they really tried. I didn't see teachers reaching out to me, trying to help me, trying to do good things for me, trying to get me on track. I didn't see any of that. Not that I would have listened to them. But you don't necessarily have to go to college. You just want to have a plan. You want to have some concept. You want to have some idea. And you want to have some knowledge on how to talk to your kids about that and sit down. Every family should have a roundtable discussion every 2 weeks. What are we doing? How are we getting ahead? Look at the weigh-ins, In Living Color, the comedy show. I bet they sat down and discussed that. There's families that are actors. There's families that are in business. You can sit down and you can really, take over the world and figure things out if you just put your heads together. Anyway, back to Sarah and David, Winter Garden, $171K and annual income. That's very good. Mortgage is $2,800. No car payments. Winning, stacking wins. Hello, I need this is what I'm going to do. Right? There's no car payments. That's right. That's exactly right. That's what you need to be doing. $110K in retirement accounts. Ugh, that's not much. Most people don't have much in retirement, and they're going to either work a long time or they're going to have a rude awakening. You guys need to plan for your future, including myself and my wife. You got a compounding interest, put a ton in there in diversified index funds, super low cost, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, Vanguard. I'm not affiliated with any of those. Or buy a lot of cash flow like we did, or a little of both. $45K in a checking account, earning almost nothing. That's horrifying. You shouldn't do that. Nervous about investing because they lost money years ago. That's one of the problems. When people started investing and they lost money in 08, 09, 07, stuff like that, then they get shy about it forever. You need to have a fiduciary, not a broker, okay? A broker or a broker fiduciary, a mix, sells you things. They're not objective. A fiduciary is objective. A fee-only financial planner just gives you advice and tells you what to invest in and puts it in. Now you pay a fee, but you find one who's good and they can make you, 10, 20% a year. Not every year, not every month, but on average, if you're aligned, if you check their records, if you check their performance, if you get along with them, if they know what they're doing, or they can at least just give you some advice. But you shouldn't have money sitting in a checking account. You can get 2, 3, 4, 5% in online savings. Acorns app, like I use, There's a button on our website you can click on and log into Acorns and get yourself an account, and that will help out the show. Affiliate marketing. See, that's one way to monetize the podcast. But I do have an Acorns account. I wouldn't want to promote too many things that I don't believe in, or maybe nothing that I don't believe in. So I use it and it works great. So I promote it because I like it, right? So definitely have 40 grand or 35 or something in a savings account, earning some interest. Your retirement accounts, make sure they're in low cost, they're diversified. It doesn't say what you're contributing to them. Figure out whether they can retire at 62, decide how much to help with college, invest their cash without feeling like they're gambling. Yeah, that's true. Learn how to build wealth while sleeping instead of constantly working. Well, that's what we do. I make money while I sleep. So what I do is I just sleep all day because then I make more money, right? That's sort of funny. That could be a joke. I need to work on that. What you really need to do, is sit down with these folks and figure the things out. Let's see. Sarah, your biggest risk isn't, I'm whispering. Why am I whispering? Your biggest risk isn't the stock market. It's letting inflation quietly eat away at the 45 grand. Yeah, that's right. Let's build a simple investment plan that lets you sleep at night. Money should reduce stress, not create it. I write all these notes down on my phone and then I just forget. So that's why I'm reading them to you. Okay. You got the one kid, which is great. They want to go to college. I had a buddy. I still have a buddy. He went to community college for 2 years, which was paid for. And then he went to Rollins for 2 years, which was paid for. And he had decent grades or good grades, so he didn't pay for it. That's what I'd recommend. A lot of people send their kids to these 4-year colleges, spend an absolute fortune. It doesn't really matter to an employer, I don't think, unless you went to Harvard or Yale. So you're just wasting your money. I'm sure the 4-year college experience is fun. I went to 4 years at Rollins, which was a good time. At some point, I'll probably forget that because of all the partying. I'm on my 5th liver. Thank you, Rollins. No car payments is beautiful. Same sort of advice. There's again, the staples. Do you have a mother-in-law suite? Do you have extra rooms? Do you have a private entrance or a kitchenette? Can you rent out rooms? The low-cost rental property for people is so inexpensive, so difficult to find because it is expensive. So if you can make $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month, do that. Sacrifice. Make some sacrifices. You may not want a person in your kitchen. Maybe they're a pilot. Maybe there's somebody who's older that you won't see them. A 16-year-old, you're not too worried about that daughter, so maybe you want a female, in the house. But the sacrifices help. See if you can lower your mortgage, extend the amount of years. But look at the numbers. Don't just do it. Does it make sense? Are you going to stay in the house? Are you moving soon? When your kid goes to college, you can downsize. But 2,800 mortgage, can you reduce it? Lower the rate, extend the years, interest only maybe. Retirement accounts, check those. Make sure that they're invested in something good. You can always borrow against those to buy cash flowing assets. Why not do that? I guess at some point, got to get into specifics. No debts, 45. Geez, you could put a down payment there. Did you both buy the house? Can you do the first-time home buyer credit? Always the same sort of things with that. Invest their cash. Fiduciary, definitely. It seems like I've given you the advice there. I'll send it over to you, info@monetarytherapy.com, and that will help you out. You want to think outside the box. You want to gamify it. You want to have fun with it. Make some sacrifices. Take some chances. You know what I mean? Do some interesting stuff. Have some fun with it. If you can shop your bills and move that around and get that interest going, and then you might be able to grind up another $1,500, $1,800 a month. That'll make some real difference and buy some more cash flow. Another $2,000 a month. You get a rental property. Just do it. It's like one of my mentors, Art Williams, says, just do it. That's exactly what you need to do, right? What was that? That's Stargate. That's my man, Kurt Russell. Holy cow, that guy's the freaking man. I watched so many movies when I was a kid. I know every movie line ever. Just don't even try. Like, my brother used to call me. I'm a James Bond expert. I've read 3 James Bond encyclopedias. When he was dating, 400 years ago, he'd call me. Hey, who's Gert Frobe? I'm like, it's Goldfinger. It's 4 a.m, dude. He's like loaded. He's doing trivia at a bar, trying to pick up chicks. You know, like what was the name of the girl? That's pretty filthy. The name of the who was the Bond? It was Connery. It was the '60s. That's the third Bond movie. Ulrich Goldfinger. His voice was dubbed. Honor Blackman played the main pilot lady, P. Galore. Anyway, good times. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Monetary Therapy Show. All right? Remember, your paycheck pays the bills, but your decisions build your future. Until next time, keep investing in yourself, and I'll see you at your next monetary therapy session. Now I got to go to the gym, man. I'm going to pump up. Next time you see me, I'm going to be like twice the size. You can't do that, can you? Huh? That's like 4 million push-ups. That's right. That's probably disgusting, but it is fun. Winning.